there, welcome to CoreTV News at 4. I am Gete. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari arrives to the United States of America with some governors and other dignitaries. The first round of discussion with U.S. President Barack Obama saw talks on a joint fight against insurgents, corruption and other vices ravaging the country.
Nigeria will remain ever grateful to President Obama and the United States for backing Nigeria to consolidate its gains on democratic system. The visit of the Secretary of State when he visited Nigeria to see the president, the former president of Nigeria, see the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Jega, and so the opposition was very clear and a positive trend that saw us through for this credible election we had. And the maintenance of pressure by United States, mainly, and Europe, to make sure that the elections were free, fair, and credible, led us to where we are now. It would have been almost impossible if the United States did not maintain the pressure on the former Nigerian government that they will not accept anything less constitutional as far as the processes of the elections are concerned.
Meanwhile, speaking at the meeting with President Buhari, U.S. President Barack Obama congratulated Nigeria and all Nigerians on the success of the 2015 elections. He also commended Buhari for his integrity and tenacity in the fight against corruption, while also retreating the commitment of the United States of America to the fight against terrorism in Nigeria.
Nigeria is obviously one of the most important countries in the world, and one of the most important countries in the African continent. Recently, we saw an election in which a peaceful transition to a new government took place, and it was an affirmation of Nigeria's commitment to democracy, a recognition that although Nigeria is a big country and a diverse country with many different parts, nevertheless, the people of Nigeria understand that only through a peaceful political process can change take place. President Buhari comes into office with a reputation for integrity and a very clear agenda. Very concerned about the spread of Boko Haram and the violence that's taken place there and the atrocities that they've carried out. And has a very clear agenda in defeating Boko Haram and extremism of all sorts inside of his country. And he has a very clear agenda with respect to rooting out the corruption that too often has held back the economic growth and prosperity of his country. On both these issues, we're looking forward to hearing more about his plans and how the United States can partner.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the continued pressure on the immediate past administration by the United States and some European countries made the general elections in Nigeria to be free and fair. The president said this while responding to welcome remarks by President Barack Obama before the start of the bilateral meeting between officials of both countries at the Oval Office of the White House on the second day of the visit. President Buhari recalled that the pressure started from the visit of the United States Secretary of State John Kerry to the past chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Atahiru Jega. He ordered that Nigeria will be ever grateful to President Obama and the United States for making Nigeria consolidate its gains on democracy. On his trip to the United States, the president said he looked forward to a fruitful visit and engagement with his host government, while expressing delight that the U.S. had indicated interest in partnering and helping the All Progressives Congress APC-led administration to fulfill its goals of tackling insecurity, corruption, and youth unemployment. In his welcome remarks, President Obama said President Buhari came into office with a reputation of integrity and a clear agenda and preparedness to bring peace to Nigeria, curtailing Boko Haram insurgency and rooting out corruption. President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday said it would neither be prudent nor serve the interest of sound government for him to have formed his cabinet immediately he was inaugurated on May 29. He said it was necessary for the country to first put new rules of conduct and good governance in place before he could make critical appointments into his government. Buhari made the clarification in his article titled "Nigeria Committed to Good Governance and Fighting Terror," published by the Washington Post ahead of his historic meeting with President Barack Obama of the United States. He said it was noteworthy that Obama himself did not have his full cabinet in place for several months after first taking office. He said despite that delay, the U.S. did not cease to function in the interim. Buhari said there were too few examples in the history of Nigeria since independence where it can be said that good management and governance were instituted at national level. He said the lack of a governance framework had allowed many of those in charge, devoid of any real checks and balances, to plunder. The president said the fact that he now seeks Obama's assistance in locating and returning $150 billion stolen in the past decade and held in foreign bank accounts on behalf of former corrupt officials was a testament to how badly Nigeria has been run. He also argued that failure of governance has been as much a factor in Nigeria's inability thus far to defeat Boko Haram as have been issues with the military campaign itself. Friends in the GAP Advocacy Initiative, or Legislative Advocacy Monitoring and Lobby Group, has expressed concern with the postponement of the resumption of the National Assembly members from July 21st to July 28, 2015 without any tangible explanation. It noted in a statement that this is the third time that the 8th National Assembly will embark on recess since its inauguration on June 9, 2015 by the President. The group recalled that shortly after inauguration, the lawmakers sat only for 3 days and embarked on their first break on June 11th, which lasted to June 23rd. It ordered that 3 days after the resumption, the legislators took another 3-week break on June 25th that would have seen them resuming work on July 21st before the last extension. The advocacy group argued that the lawmakers have only put in 6 days of work in roughly 2 months and have been unable to achieve anything in terms of meaningful legislative work since their inauguration. It is also concerned that the lawmakers would most likely spend 3 legislative days before embarking on a 6-week-long vacation till the end of September. The group maintained that it would not hesitate to call for a civil protest to sack the present core of legislators from the National Assembly that failed to get down to the task that we elected for. The Femi Gbajabiamila group of the two All Progressives Congress factions at the House of Representatives has rejected the latest zoning proposals on principal officers by the Speaker Yakubu Dogara. The group, which calls itself APC Loyalist Group, wrote to the party's national chairman, Chief John Odige Oyegun, formally rejecting Dogara's proposals. The letter, dated June 18th, was made available to Punch on Monday, and it confirmed the deepening nature of the leadership tussle. An exclusive report says that moves to reconcile the two sides, including an intervention by the governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, merely left deepening disagreements. The letter called on the APC to assert its authority in party affairs rather than continue to allow Dogara get away with what it considered to be disloyalty to the party. It noted that having emerged as a speaker against the APC's initial projection that the Southwest should produce the speaker, the members expected Dogara to exhibit the spirit of give and take by allowing the APC to decide how the remaining principal officers should be shared. Dogara zoned the majority leader to the Northwest, deputy leader to the North Central, chief whip to the South South, and deputy whip to the Southeast. in defense of his argument that each zone must be represented under leadership. Governors on the platform of the All Progressives Congress are perfecting strategies to oppose the nomination of Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose as the deputy chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum. It was learned that members of the NGF who are scheduled to meet on Wednesday ahead of the National Economic Forum meeting on Thursday are likely to select a deputy chairman. Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari was unanimously chosen as the chairman following the expiration of the tenure of ex-Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi. A source in the Progressives Governors Forum confided that the governors and the PGF perceived a hint that the opposition People's Democratic Party is pushing for Fayose's candidacy to spite the APC. Those opposed to Fayose argue that his kind of politics is divisive and should not be allowed to take the center stage. They recalled his stiff opposition to Buhari, especially during the presidential campaigns and immediately after the victory of the APC. Dictators probing the alleged 1.45 billion naira legal and consultancy fees scandal at the Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE, have got some key documents which will help them get to the root of the matter. The BPE is insisting that the legal contract was valid because ex-President Goodluck Jonathan approved it based on a memo from ex-Vice President Namadi Sambo, who was the chairman of the National Council on Privatization, NCP. In a June 27 letter to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the BPP requested the anti-graft agency to investigate the payment scandal. One of the lawyers of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, was paid 950 million naira for the liquidation of the power holding company when the company had ceased to exist, and 500 million naira was paid as consultancy fees to the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. The fees were paid contrary to the advice of the immediate past Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Mohammed Bello Adoke San, and the BPP. Based on the BPP alarm, the FCC has since started probing the payment. But in a fresh twist, the BPE insisted that the contract was legal and approved by ex-President Jonathan. It's CoreTV News at 4. We'll take a break. Stay with us.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to our husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Because some people will strong for Yoruba land, will be strong man, you don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, treasury looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth.
Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we'll bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has the right in Nigeria,
where you are the judge.
Thanks for staying tuned with us. Now, for more information on CoreTV News, you can reach us on our social media platforms: Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News, and Twitter at CoreTV News NG, and YouTube at youtube.com/CoreTV News. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Kwara State has accused the state government of diverting the over 2 billion naira bailout fund it received from the federal government, but the government dismissed the allegation as baseless. The PDP, in a statement by its spokesman, Chief Rex Olawuyi, alleged that the diversion was criminal, insensitive, and a negation of the spirit behind the fund's release. The senior special assistant to Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed on Media and Communications, Muhyiddin Akorede, said Kwara only received its share of the Nigerian liquefied natural gas NLNG dividend recently distributed to all tiers of government. Governor Ahmed dismissed PDP's allegation as untruthful, saying the government had not received the bailout from the federal government. Ahmed clarified that the 2.1 billion naira NLNG dividend was inadequate to cover the monthly obligations, which it put at 2.6 billion naira. The police authorities have approved posthumous promotion for 3 operatives who died in a suicide bomb attack on a checkpoint in Damaturu, Yobe State on Monday. The policemen were killed on the spot alongside 5 persons suspected to be Boko Haram members. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu said in a statement that if not for the sacrifice and professionalism of the men, the terrorists would have detonated explosive at a high-profile target. He noted that aside from approving promotion for the deceased policemen, Inspector General Solomon Arase has ordered the medical department to foot the bill of an officer who survived the attack. The police have also offered scholarship up to secondary school level for 4 children each of the deceased officers, while promising that the families will be given priority in the budding police housing scheme. The police spokesman ordered that similar gesture will be extended to other officers who died in the course of fighting insurgency in the country. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has concluded plans to commence the probe of the former President Goodluck Jonathan with investigations into the financial transactions of his ministers and aides. Reports hazard that the chairman of the commission, Mr. Ibrahim Lamode, had already directed that all petitions against former public officers at the federal level should be forwarded to him to be acted upon. Findings showed that former ministers, special advisors, heads of parastatals, and those of other federal government agencies would be invited for interrogation by the EFCC in a few weeks from now. Also, that the anti-graft agency would focus on those whose establishments attracted huge allocations from the federal government when Jonathan was in power. Such ministries and agencies, it was learnt, included Defense, Petroleum Resources and Power. The Inspector General of Police has assured the Governor of Plateau State of the continuous police commitment in order to allow for peace and development in the Middle Belt State. Plateau State, which was recently hit by a twin bomb explosion that consumed over 40 lives, has been on the receiving end of communal clashes in the struggle for arable and grazing lands between herdsmen and local farmers. Governor Simeon Lalong, who received the IG in his office, made some requests to the police. The report.
According to the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, 13 bombs have been detonated in Plateau State since the issues of insurgents began in the country lately. While commiserating with the Plateau governor on the loss of lives due to the recent bomb attacks, he assured that his men are totally committed and ready to work with the state to ensure a peaceful environment where the dividends of democracy can be delivered.
To come and first commiserate with you about the incident that happened about 2 weeks ago. I was very, very worried when it happened because we've had about 13 cases of bomb incidents since the insurgency started. This one that came was like an aberration because it was something we thought we had been able to, settle it, and I know you are just trying to settle down to governance in the state when the incident happened.
However, the IG queried why some of his men were attacked during the last explosions when they went in to help the injured. The irate youths who attacked the police also went ahead to burn down some churches within their vicinity.
And secondly, there were some reaction from some indigents of the state when it happened. My officers who were on rescue mission, they started hurling missiles at them, and I felt that that was something that was out of the ordinary, because they were supposed to go and, assist the victims of the incident. So I decided that apart from talking to the officers and men of the police command, I should also have an interactive sections with strategic stakeholders in the states. And,
on his part, Governor Simon Lalong requested for more police presence in the southern part of the state, where he said daily attacks have become a daily routine, adding that the state is doing its best to ensure total peace is achieved within its borders.
Grateful for that opportunity. We're grateful for the concern the police is showing. After the bomb blast, you come, I'm sure you have listened. So the next thing is action. We will do our best to cooperate with the police, and we'll also ensure that we get Plateau back to the home of peace and tourism. So that is the only way that can help us to also execute our programs for the people of Plateau State. Once more, thank you for coming, and may God bless you as you get back to your various destinations.
Highlight of the visit was the presentation of gifts by the governor and the police boss.
Public servants in Ondo State are to begin an indefinite strike tomorrow if the government fails to pay all outstanding salaries and deductions. The workers, through the state chairman of the Joint Public Service Negotiating Council, JNC, Sunday Adeleye, said the 7-day ultimatum given to the government had expired last week. The workers issued a 7-day ultimatum to the government to pay their entitlements. The said cooperative societies were no longer functioning due to unpaid deductions. The ultimatum was contained in a statement by Adeleye after a meeting with Labour leaders. Adeleye, in a statement, said the non-payment of deductions showed that the government was insensitive to their plight. Stranded patients at the Federal Teaching Hospital Ido-Ekiti have made a passionate appeal to resident doctors nationwide to call off its ongoing strike in order to save lives. CoreTV News crew carried out an assessment of the 7-week-long strike embarked upon by doctors over the unpaid dues by the federal government and reports the impact of the strike and the standoff top management of the hospital. Rashid has more.
The strike embarked upon by resident doctors in the federal teaching hospitals of the country no doubt has its far-reaching effects on the healthcare services. At the Federal Teaching Hospital Ido-Ekiti, only few medical consultants were cited attending to patients, while new patients, including those in critical conditions, were reportedly turned back as there were no doctors to attend to them. Patients at the receiving end have called on the federal government and the doctors to reach an agreement in order to avoid further loss of lives in the hospital.
Most people bring emergency to this hospital. So, and I think if they come here and there is no doctor to attend to them, it can cause another problem. It may lead to death.
Because of the masses, poor masses, they should put it off.
Chairman of the Senior Staff Association of the Federal Teaching Hospital in Ido-Ekiti, Age Solomon, says the solution to the ongoing strike would be for government to strike a favorable balance with the doctors through dialogue.
It's up to the government to get talking, dialogue with the medical doctors, resolve the issue so that the general populace will keep benefiting from services of the hospital.
On his part, Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Lawrence Ayodele, urged the doctors to return to work, adding that a sit-at-home order is not the best option.
The oath we have taken to take care of our patients, we shouldn't work against the oath. So I think we render essential services, and so we are not expected to abandon our duties for whatever reason. So my own appeal to my colleagues is that they should come back to work, because I know that these monies will be paid.
While doctors remain in strike without any clear-cut time on when the action will end, patients remain hopeful that the resident doctors will heed their plea and resume work. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ido-Ekiti.
And from Ekiti State, we go to River State, precisely in Emohua local government area, where some indigents of the local government area have called on the Inspector General of Police to investigate the ongoing crisis in the community. The indigents, under the aegis of concerned Iba indigents, made the call at a news conference in Port Harcourt on Tuesday. A traditional ruler in the community, Kingsley Nyenke, who spoke on behalf of the group, said such investigation would avail the police of first-hand information on the crisis. Iba, an Ikwere-speaking community, was plunged into crisis following the tussle for the throne of the community's paramount ruler, Nwenwe Ali. The crisis, which started in 2008 after the death of the paramount ruler, Chief James Ohaka, had polarized the community, leading to the death of several persons. Nyenke, who blamed a contender in the chieftaincy dispute for the level of destruction and deaths, said only honest and sincere police investigation could unravel the truth. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, now has an acting Director General Chief Executive Officer following the removal of Ziakede Akpobolo-Kemi on President Muhammad Buhari's orders. He is Callistus Obi, who until the appointment was Executive Director, Maritime Labour and Cabotage Services in the agency. Statements issued by NIMASA indicates that he would be bringing over 2 decades of experience in the public sector, law practice and the maritime industry to his new responsibility. Ogun State High Court sitting in Shagamu will today hear a suit filed by United Bank of Africa UBA Cooperative Multipurpose Society Limited against the registered trustees of Redeemed Christian Church of God, RCCG, over a disputed expanse of land measuring 30.763 hectares. Justice E.O. Oshinuga fixed today through the court, a registrar having failed to sit last Tuesday due to ill health. The UBA Cooperative Society had instituted the suit, claiming the sum of 150 million as damages against the church for disobedience to order of court. And the suit filed through his lawyer, Yemi Omodile. The applicant, UBA Cooperative, alleged that the church had disobeyed an earlier order by the courts restraining the church, her agents, servants and representatives from carrying out or continuing to carry out any form of construction on the said disputed landed property. According to the society, the disputed landed property was legitimately purchased from the Olowoto Olisa chieftaincy family of Ewu or Dauphin village, pursuant to a deed of agreement dated December 12, 2014. They also claimed that the respondents are merely using their influence to override the claimant, thereby taking the laws into their hands. It's CoreTV News at 4. We'll take a break. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
As news breaks, people don't let events pass without giving their comment or reactions.
When the problem arises in society, these are the people that should be consulted.
To cleanse the corruption in society, we are not to provide information for good life and also security of life and property in this country.
The academic society have the loudest voice on this platform.
Whether you call it a sovereign national conference or a national conference, it's just about the people of Nigeria.
There should be a change in power.
In any way they can do it.
I think there's a script already.
Every Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. on this station. From the Ivory Tower, a must-watch for the learning minds.
Welcome back. Japan says China's aggressive maritime activities in East China are among the major threats to the country's security, as Prime Minister Shinzo Abe pushes through a series of controversial measures aimed at expanding the role of Japan's military. It is annual defense review issued Tuesday. Japan's defense ministry lashed out at Beijing's development of undersea oil and gas reserves in the East China Sea as well as its increasing military presence near a series of Japanese-controlled islands that are also claimed by China. Toshiba's chief executive and president, Tsuyoshi Tanaka, is to resign after the company said it had overstated its profits for the past 6 years. An independent panel appointed by Toshiba said the firm had overstated its operation profit by a total of 151.8 billion yen. However, Toshiba's accounting scandal began when securities regulators uncovered problems as they probed the company's balance sheet earlier this year. It has been revealed that there has been inappropriate accounting going on for a long time, and this has caused a serious trouble for both stakeholders and shareholders. Meanwhile, Toshiba will have to restate its profit for the period between April 2008 and March 2014, while it is unclear whether it will affect the company's results for the year ending March 2015. As a result of this, Tsuyoshi Tanaka and Norio Sasaki have asked to resign today and would be succeeded by Masashi Muramachi. North Korea says it has no interest in negotiations similar to those between Iran and world powers that would result in Pyongyang giving up its nuclear capabilities. A foreign ministry statement on Tuesday says it is illogical to compare Iran's nuclear agreement with the situation in North Korea. Iran and 6 world powers finalized a deal last week that will limit Iran's nuclear capabilities in exchange for sanctions relief. Following the agreement, U.S. Under-Secretary of State Wendy Sherman called on North Korea to learn from the deal. North Korea Tuesday said it has no interest in any dialogue to discuss freezing or dismantling its nuclear program, and insisted that it is a clear weapon state. The isolated communist country has conducted 3 nuclear tests. Its most recent test in 2013 prompted the UN Security Council, led by China and the United States, to pass severe sanctions on North Korean banking, travel and trade. North Korea in 2009 walked out of 6-nation talks aimed at convincing it to give up its nuclear program in exchange for badly needed aid and security guarantees. Those talks included the 2 Koreans, the US, China, Japan and Russia. The UK Prime Minister has launched a 5-year plan to defeat Islamist extremists, saying it is time to counter an ideology that has attracted so many young people to the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant Group. In a wide-ranging speech, David Cameron also announced new powers designed to put those who radicalized young people out of action, together with plans to allow parents to cancel their children's passports to prevent them from traveling abroad to join a radical group. The measures are meant to crush the infrastructure that has made it possible for as many as 700 young Britons to join armed groups abroad, he said. Cameron spoke at a school in Birmingham, a centre of the Muslim community in Britain. He said it was time to counter the narrative that has attracted so many young people to the ISIL. Also speaking, Britain must declamorize such groups by making the young aware of the stark reality of life under their control. Following the polling stations have opened in Burundi's controversial presidential elections, with Pierre Nkurunziza widely expected to win a 3rd consecutive term. Shortly before voting started on Tuesday, at least 2 people, a policeman and a civilian, were killed, according to witnesses, in a stirring of explosions and gunfire in the capital, Bujumbura, the epicenter of 3 months of anti-government protest. Reports say that one of the opposition members was also killed overnight in the city's Nyakabiga. The incident prompted a big crowd to gather there in protest in the morning. About 3.8 million Burundians are eligible to vote in the polls, which the opposition and civil society groups are boycotting, claiming it will not be free and fair. The opposition have It denounced the candidacy of the incumbent president as unconstitutional and a violation of the 2006 peace deal that ended a frozen year of civil war and ethnic massacres in 2006. The nation's constitutional court has ruled in the president's favor, however maintaining he is eligible for a third term because he was chosen by legislators and not popularly and not elected for his first term. And now to business. The International Monetary Fund, IMF's Article 6 or 4 consultation staff report has shown that Nigeria's oil earnings would drop to $52 billion this year from $88 billion it was the previous year. This represents a deduction of 6 percentage points in the nation's gross domestic product GDP and would reduce its external current account balance as well as international reserves. The fund's report say Nigeria's outlook for growth is expected to moderate as the economy adjusts to permanently lower oil prices. According to the IMF, fiscal oil revenues are projected at 3.4% of GDP, down from 5.8% last year, limiting fiscal spending. It said aggregate demand shocks could lower growth by about 1.5% from last year to 4.3% this year. IMF ordered that the overall impact on non-oil sector GDP will come from cuts in public investment and a reduction in real purchasing power of oil receipts. Lafarge Africa PLC says its newly constructed 220 megawatt power plant at Ewekoro, Ogun State will commence operation in October. The company in a statement said the project, worth $400 million was executed in partnership with the International Finance Corporation and Wärtsilä. It ordered that the IFC would provide financial and advisory services for the project through Infrastructures, its Global Infrastructure Project Development Fund, while Wärtsilä would build and manage the power plant. The firm's third power project remained one of the company's contributions towards providing an enabling environment for new investments and the nation's economic growth. And now to sports, where from the seeding list released yesterday by the African Table Tennis Federation, ATTF, Egypt has been seeded ahead of Nigeria in the men and women event of the ITTF Africa Senior Cup in Yaoundé, Cameroon. In the men's seeding list, defending champion Egypt's El Sayed Lashin and his compatriot Omar Assar are rated number 1 and 2 above Nigeria's duo of Aruna Quadri and Kazim Makanjuola. Quadri, who recently guarded GD Toledo's of Portugal to retain the league, is seeded number 3, while Makanjuola, who replaced 6-time Olympian Segun Toriola, is seeded number 7. In the women's seeding, Egypt's Dina tops the list with her compatriot Nadine El Dawalt Lee is rated number 3. Defending champion Hang Zing of Congo Brazzaville is seeded number 2, while Nigeria's duo of Edemefiong and Olufunke Oshunaike are seeded number 4 and 5 respectively. President Muhammad Buhari has surprised those who think his administration will not accord sports priority by approving funds to ensure timely and adequate preparations ahead of the 2015 All African Games. The Director General of the National Sports Commission, NSC, Al-Hassan Yakmout, on Monday at the indoor hall of the National Stadium, Abuja, after addressing the athletes at the way training. The All-African Group is holding in Congo Brazzaville from September 4 to 19, 2015. This is a clear departure from the usual practice of releasing funds 2 weeks to a major international event. An excited Yakmot promised to release the approved figure to the public in line with Change Agenda, which promotes transparency in governance. And that's our news for this hour. Thank you so much for staying on with us. I am Gift or Kete. Please join us again.